let's shift gears to and Bear, you kicked off with a little summary surrounding it. Kind of the soon to follow campaign that's right after the Betsy Ross Gadsden, which is the debt relief, which is a unique angle for us this year. So I think to kick it off, Bear, I would love, just because if you follow Born Primitive, like Veterans Day is an important kind of pillar of our calendar when you look at big moments throughout the year. And just giving back has been something from day one that has always been a pillar of the company. But this one's unique, Bear. So I know you touched on it slightly when you kicked off, but I would love to hear what's the why behind this one? How did this come about, and what resonated with you on it to say, hey, this is an initiative that we're gonna kind of shake the snow globe a little bit and attack this from a different angle this year?
Yeah, well, for those that have been with us, they know every Veterans Day we try to do something big, right? It's our Super Bowl. It's important to us, and the opportunity came up through Forgive Co. And ironically, Eric played football at Georgetown. I played at Yale. He was an offensive lineman. I was a linebacker. So he broke the ice by letting me know that we had locked horns a few times in the trenches, and even pulled up game tape. I got an interception against them, so he pulled up game tape. And good sales pitch, Eric. That's a good way to get my attention, to send me some game tape, because I get a lot of really dumb emails every day that I never open. So good on you. So Eric at Forgive Co. They basically work with entities like us, and they help us purchase debt on other people's behalf, and we pay it off. We buy it, but it does pay it off. So we were talking, and he was kind of pitching this idea, and I said, well, hey man, like honestly, like debt forgiveness is actually a little bit against our brand, because like I don't really believe in that, right? I was like, because it was at the time Biden's trying to forgive student loans, and we're trying to give all this free shit. I hate entitlements. You know what I mean? So, hey, if you signed up for something, like, that's on you, man. I'm sorry. But like, you're an adult, and, so at the surface, I was like, this is actually very against our brand. I would love to give back, but hey, we give back in other ways. We donate to veteran charities, and you know what I mean? And the veteran conversation wasn't even in the mix initially. He just knew that, hey, I've seen you guys do a lot of good. Here's another way you can do this. And then I was like, hold on a second. Is there a way to filter it by veterans? And he said, well, let me get back to you. But yeah, I think by their DOD ID number, that could be a way we could sort through this debt, right? And I said, okay, one more filter. Can we make it specifically for medical bill debt? And he was like, what's your reasoning behind that? I said, well, medical bill debt is not planned. It's not because you were financially irresponsible. It's usually a tragic life event, an unexpected thing that had nothing to do with how you were conducting yourself. It could be that single mom that her daughter got a rare illness, and now she's $150K in the hole. Like, people like that shouldn't get crippling debt. Now, really, no one should. You know what I mean? And I wish we could do more, right? Like we did veterans this case, but like within an unlimited amount of money, I'd love to pay off everyone's debt. But we had to, obviously narrow the scope a little bit. So he was like, hey, let me get back to you. And he was like, this is a different angle. So he got back to me. He was like, all right, confirmed. We can tag it to medical bill debt and a veteran. And what do you think? And I was like, man, this is going to be huge. You know what I mean? And I was all fired up, and I looped Claire in, and, looped you in of like, hey, I know we normally donate to charity on Veterans Day, but what if we did something different? And what I like about this, and I'll read a couple examples. It's an immediate impact. I mean, this is a real no shit impact. There's no catch. There's no gimmicks. They don't have to pay us anything. It's literally, they say nothing's free in life, and they're usually true, but for these people, they probably thought that, but then we had to like convince them, like, no, you don't understand. No action required. It's already done deal. Like, so they all got letters, official letters and emails, etc. But you can imagine how that was received. They're probably looking at it, scratching their head like, there's no way. Like, what's the catch? So I just thought it was a really unique opportunity. And I have to say that is the main theme here. But maybe what motivated me a little bit more on why we wanted to do this was frustration of how our government spends our money when we could be helping Americans, right? So right now we've had 10+ million, illegal immigrants that have come across the southern border in the last 4 years. They're given a debit card, a phone, healthcare, and a room at the Roosevelt with freaking room service every day, right? I mean, that's a real thing, man. How is it that we are giving people who are not even citizens of this country more benefits than people that raise their right hand to serve it, right? Like, how crazy is that? How is it that we have, a single mom that's $180,000 in medical bill debt you know, that's will never pay that off. Her credit is absolute dog shit. She'll never get approved for a car loan or a home loan. Or if she does go get a car, she's going to pay 29% interest from that shady lot on the corner outside the military base, when we're sending hundreds of billions of dollars to other countries that don't even appreciate us, right? So part of it, it was a little bit of a, kind of a, I don't want to say a middle finger, because the goal here was to make an impact, but underlying all of that, I think, is a frustration that a lot of Americans feel of like, why are we not taking care of our own? You know, we're $30+ trillion in debt, and we think that country X should get another 100 billion when we have people starving in the streets, and we have, you know what I mean, people that serve their country. And this shouldn't just be for people that serve, right? You know, we chose this, but there's so many other people that deserve help. And it just makes you wonder, like, if we really thought about how we could reallocate resources as a country and focus on the people that live here, what good that could do. I mean, imagine if you could give, like, let's say you could give all teachers a $20,000 raise, right? Overnight, instant, right? Because, hey, they deserve it. They're molding our youth, right? Would you rather give every teacher $20,000 raise tomorrow, or would you rather send another $100 billion to country X so they can buy a bunch of rockets that ends up getting fed back to the people sitting on the board who were once in Congress? You know what I mean? And I'm glad that conversation is happening more. And it's not because of the traditional media. It's because of the alternative media, like the Joe Rogans, the Sean Ryans. People are becoming more knowledgeable on, wait a second, this doesn't add up. $30 trillion in debt as a country.
But we can't help Asheville.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? FEMA, right? We just saw it, right? Hey, you get $750 and you got to fill out a form, even though you don't have internet. And oh yeah, it'll be there in 3 weeks, right? How crazy is that, man? That same week, we announced we sent another $100 million to Lebanon. The country that houses Hezbollah and has been hosting them. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing, guys? Right? So I'm hoping that this maybe will trigger other companies to realize, okay, if Washington isn't going to do it, and if Washington is not fixable, we need to man up as the people and do it ourselves and help each other. I'm not going to spill the beans, but next year we already have teed up an even bigger impact from what we're doing here, and it's of that theme, because I'm rounding up the troops so we can, bring people together to say, all right, how do we leverage more companies' arsenals to having a bigger impact? So this is phase one, man, and I think this is only going to get bigger, and I hope there will be a domino effect. And I hope then, hate to say it, but like the companies that would never do this in a million years are going to see it and go, damn, hey, I know we've been doing all this woke stuff, but like we might want to do with that. You see that Born Primitive, that tattooed guy with the funny hair? Yeah, that was pretty cool. Maybe we should do that. Maybe the Googles will do it. Maybe the Apples will do it. You know what I mean? The companies that would never in a million years touch a cause like this, that is, a patriotic, veteran-focused cause because of the politics of their company. Maybe they're going to have no choice because it's going to become so prevalent that like now that becomes the new corporate buzzword. And at that point, maybe it's not cool anymore, but hey, at least it's still helping Americans. And that's obviously a pipe dream. I don't think that'll ever happen. I think it'll be the Born Primitives, it'll be the Black Rifles, it'll be the kind of the predictable companies that are leveraging their platform to do good. But man, this is just freaking awesome, and I hope everyone comes out Friday. I know they will. I mean, honestly, this is the most exciting part of the year, because I remember last Veterans Day, it popped off, and we were all high-fiving in the room. And I only remember 2 years ago, I think you weren't here yet, I put up the first Veterans Day video, and it's always, so just spoiler alert, it's going to be a video of me just talking about the campaign. So for you guys listening, it will be nothing new, but we've done it every year, right? So it was the first video I ever did, and that was the year we raised 75 grand, which was still good, but we were able to do 100 the next 2 years. But we posted the video, and yeah, Claire, you weren't here yet. Meta they shut down our account immediately. And the post was ripping. Like for the first 30 minutes, we were getting all kinds of comments. Hell yeah, because that was the first time we had done it, so it came out of nowhere. People weren't expecting it. And I'm scrambling because Instagram was our main channel. Now, of course, we emailed everyone and texted everyone, but that was our main channel to get this viral, to get everyone to come out and support the cause. And we spend a lot of money with Meta advertising, so it took us a while to get through to their team. But we were finally like, hey, we gave you guys millions of dollars in advertising. Like, you better freaking fix this. And like, you can't tell me it's a coincidence that we do a patriotic veteran cause, and in 30 minutes, our account is literally shut down. Like, are you kidding me? Like, and so they restored it by like 4 o'clock that day because I was worried we are going to go to the weekend and not have an Instagram, and then ended up going really well. But again, it's like another instance of like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Like, how is that controversial? We're trying to do some good. We're donating everything to charity. But you know, we got past it, and you know, I think we're good with them now. Hopefully we won't get shadow banned when it goes live on Friday. But yeah, I went long on that. I don't even remember your original question, but
you answered it.
All right.
Yeah.
Claire, let's recycle the same question I asked you about the D-Day Betsy Ross Gadsden. When you look at a moment like this as our marketing director, how do you bring this to life, and what are some key takeaways you want to make sure comes through to the consumer in a moment like this?
Yeah, I mean, I really look at it all as one campaign, right? Like when we launch these Don't Tread on Me and Betsy Ross shoes, that's really to inspire, the people that are seeing this content to say, oh yeah, it is okay to love America, and it is okay to get excited about the freedoms that we have here. And those freedoms we are so blessed to have, to lead right into a weekend like a Veterans Day where, Bear put it perfectly. These are people who've raised their hand to serve this nation and protect the very freedoms that we just reminded everybody it's okay to be excited and happy and blessed that you have these freedoms, that these people are being underserved, and that we have an opportunity and an obligation as beneficiaries of their sacrifice and the sacrifice that their families make to say, yes, go out in service, and that you're serving this country to protect everything that we value. Telling those stories is what's so important to me, and why, with this Veterans Day campaign, we have the opportunity, like you said, Tony, to touch real lives, to have a real impact on individual people's experiences and hear about that and share that with the world to say, guys, it's not all rainbows and sunshine sometimes when these guys get out of service, when these guys and gals get out of service. So for me, that was the biggest factor for me in the Veterans Day campaign, was making sure that we actually bring awareness to how we can better serve our veteran community, because they have done so much to provide for the very freedoms that we get to create really cool snake content for.
Yeah, and I think that really came to life when we got the first couple of emails back. So the letters have just gone out like recently, so people are just starting to get like the news. We cut the check for this on August 1st, so we had to kind of like send it early, and we knew it was going to take a while for them to buy the debt and let these people know. But I just want to read a couple of the snippets, because that really made it human for me when we like a few days ago when we got that first one. I mean, that was honestly kind of like a sledgehammer to the heart, but like in a good way, of like, damn, this is freaking real. In this first one, her debt was only $11,000, and I say only because in the cohort of people, there's one individual, it's 190. I think there's a few in the 120, 130 ranges. There's a bunch between 50 and 100. And then there's a bunch of 10, 20, 28, like that are kind of in that lower bracket. But still, you imagine, especially with the inflation right now, you take a single parent that with 3 kids. I mean, there's no extra money at the end of the month, right? So that debt is never getting paid down. And where it's even worse, because there's downstream effects, because then their credit goes down to terrible credit, and they can't. We talked about that. Like, there's so many, and then they're getting bugged. People are calling them from all these unknown numbers, and they're getting things in the mail, adding to their stress they already have, you know what I mean, from this event that, again, was no fault of their own. And I hate that. So let me hopefully this will lift the spirits a little bit. And I'm not going to say her last name, but her name's Bree. She's out of Texas. And I'm just going to read a few snippets from what she wrote back. She said, it will help me fix my credit, which means I can get a house closer to work. I will also relieve some financial pressure, allowing me to provide more for my children. It feels almost unbelievable. I'm still processing it. It's hard to believe it's real. And then when she was talking about what happened, she said, I was in a car accident. I don't remember much. I felt ill. And the next thing I knew, I was bleeding from my eyes and waking up on the side of the road. I had a traumatic brain injury, fractures, and bleeding on the brain. It took years to recover. I was in school and I had to relearn many things. Although insurance covered some costs, not everything was paid for, leaving me with lingering debt. I've also dealt with PTSD, depression, and anxiety, which worsened with medications from the VA. The medications had side effects that compounded everything, and it wasn't a good situation. So this is the exact person that I wanted to help in this campaign, and it's such a real example. Like, she got in a car accident. 20 seconds before that happened, she had none of this, right? And so that was the first one we got, and that was like, that really brought it to life. And then the second individual, Samuel, also out of Texas. Just a few of the snippets he said. This is incredibly positive. I don't even know why I answer the phone, but I just can't believe this. The amount of gratefulness I have right now. Debts can pile up on you. This is such a blessing, a random act of kindness out of nowhere. This guy works 12-hour nights at Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. So blue-collar guy working his butt off, trying to support his family. I mean, you know how hard he's chucking luggage and stuff all day long in the heat in the summer. And then, you know, one of the things he said, you know, an incredible amount of thanks and gratitude. There aren't many entities that take note and do anything tangible for vets when we're in need. Born Primitive's doing that, actually doing something tangible. In the workforce, I find vets struggling to make ends meet. You volunteer your service and carry those values through your life, but sometimes you get the short end of the stick. It's incredible when you come across companies like Born Primitive and ForgiveCo that stick their necks out and literally put their money where their mouths are. I'm excited for the other recipients. I know other soldiers in need. I can move forward though, and this is an unbelievable feeling. And his amount was 23,000. So I mean, there's like what 2,000 more of these people in total. Like those are real life stories, right? And that's what it gives me goosebumps, because it shows you the potential of the problems that we can solve to help each other if we all come together and be united.